Have you ever wondered why some people speak less, but their presence speaks louder than a room full of noise? Think about it. The most powerful moments in life don't always come with a sound. A sunrise, a breakthrough, a decision to change your life. All of it happens in silence. And yet, we live in a world that never stops talking. Everyone wants to be heard, seen, noticed. But here's the truth that nobody tells you. The moment you stop trying to prove yourself to the world is the moment you begin to discover your real power. Stay with this video till the end, because once you understand what silence truly gives you, you won't chase noise again. You'll start moving differently. You'll carry a different energy. You'll see the shift. The reward? Peace, focus, power. That can't be faked. Let's be honest. We're constantly surrounded by noise. People shouting their opinions. Social media demanding attention. Friends, family, society, all expecting something from you, and in trying to keep up, you lose yourself. You forget what you think, what you want, what you feel. But here's what human psychology proves again and again. The most mentally strong people are not the ones who shout the loudest. They're the ones who listen, who observe, who act with calm confidence. They speak only when it matters. And when they do, people listen. Because silence builds mystery. Silence builds discipline. Silence builds self-trust. When you choose silence, you're not giving up, you're gearing up. You're letting go of the need to respond to everything. You're refusing to waste energy on things that don't build your future. And that right there is real power. Psychologically, silence does something extraordinary. It resets the brain. It slows the world down long enough for you to reconnect with yourself. In the stillness, you hear your fears clearly. But you also hear your truth. And when you hear your truth, no one can shake you. There's a reason monks, visionaries, high performers, and elite thinkers practice silence. It's not weakness, it's mastery. They understand something most people miss. You don't grow in noise. You grow in quiet. The noise outside is a distraction, but the noise inside, that's what you need to face. And that's only possible when you stop running from it. Start being still. Start being silent. Start listening, not to the world, but to yourself. You will begin to realize that most of the answers you've been searching for, they were already inside you, but you couldn't hear them over the chaos. When you silence the outside world, something incredible happens. You start aligning with your purpose. You start walking in clarity. You stop chasing people. You stop begging for attention, because you no longer need approval to feel alive. You are enough without the noise. And let's be honest, the strongest moves in life are made in silence. The best decisions, made alone. The biggest comebacks, built in private. The most powerful energy comes from within, not from applause. So if you're in a season of isolation, if you feel like you're pulling back from people, from distractions, from noise, don't panic. That's not failure. That's the beginning of transformation. You are not lost. You are simply realigning, rebuilding, refocusing. Let the silence teach you. Let it shape you. Let it sharpen you. Because when you come back, you won't need to say a word. Your actions, your energy, your focus will speak louder than anything. This is where it begins. Not with noise, not with applause, but with a quiet decision. To rise, to grow, to lead from within. Stay with this journey, because what's coming next will change the way you think, act, and speak forever. Your silence isn't empty. It's full of answers. And once you learn to sit with it, everything will begin to fall into place. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they're too distracted to use it. Distraction is the silent killer of purpose. And the scary part? It doesn't always look like a problem. Sometimes it looks like scrolling, like overthinking, like trying to please everyone, like saying yes when your heart is screaming no. You wake up with dreams, but then you check your phone. You feel inspired, but then you compare your life to someone else's highlight reel. You want peace, but you keep saying yes to chaos. That's how people get stuck, not from lack of desire, but from giving energy to everything except their own growth. Psychology teaches us that the human brain can be trained. It can be sharpened like a blade, but only when you give it direction. If your focus is everywhere, your power is nowhere. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer distractions. Look around. We live in a culture addicted to noise, notifications, opinions, validation. But all that noise is costing you your future. Every minute you spend reacting to the world is a minute you could have spent building your own. You weren't born to chase trends. You weren't built to blend in. You were designed to focus, to build, to grow. But that can only happen when you learn to disconnect, to reconnect. You don't need to know what everyone is doing. You need to know what you're doing, where you're going, what truly matters. Success doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing less, with more purpose. The moment you stop being available to everything and everyone, you become available to your dreams. That's the shift. And once you make it, nothing and no one can distract you again. The truth is, everything you're searching for is already inside you. But most people never find it. Not because it's missing, but because they're looking in the wrong place. They keep looking outward, for approval, for answers, for someone to tell them what to do, who to be, how to live. But life doesn't work like that. No one can hand you your purpose. No one can give you self-worth. That's your job. And it begins when you stop looking at the world and start looking at yourself. It's uncomfortable at first, because turning inward means facing your truth, your doubts, your fears, your patterns. But that's where freedom starts. Not in avoiding yourself, but in understanding yourself. You can't lead your life if you don't even know your own mind. And here's what psychology reveals. Self-awareness is the foundation of all change. You can't grow without it. You can't heal without it. You can't lead without it. Yet most people avoid it because it's easier to blame, to complain, to point fingers. But strong people, they pause, they reflect. They ask, what do I need to change? They stop chasing noise and start building peace. That's how transformation begins. Not in noise, not in attention, but in quiet self-honesty. Because once you understand yourself, you stop reacting to everything around you. You stop trying to fit in. You stop needing permission. You just move. You grow. You evolve. You no longer chase approval because your value comes from within. Turn inward, listen deeply, work silently, because everything you're hoping to become starts with knowing who you already are. Focus is your superpower, but most people give it away without even realizing it. Every time you chase distractions, argue with opinions, or try to prove yourself, you weaken your focus. You drain your energy. You scatter your strength. But when you take that energy back, when you stop trying to do everything and start doing the right things, that's when your life starts to change. Because focus isn't about doing more. It's about doing less with full presence. It's about deciding what matters and cutting off what doesn't. That's what the word decision actually means, to cut off, to eliminate everything that doesn't align. And this is where most people fall. They want success, but they don't want to sacrifice. They want peace, but they don't want to let go of noise. They want clarity, but they keep entertaining confusion. But the mind was never designed to be everywhere. It works best when it's here, right now, focused. Psychologically, focus does something powerful. It gives your brain direction. It tells your nervous system this matters. And when your body believes something matters, it performs at a different level. That's why focused people move faster, think clearer, feel stronger. Because they're not drained by distractions. They protect their space, they guard their goals, and they say no more than they say yes. That's not selfish. That's how leaders think. Because focus builds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. And when you stack confidence with clarity, you become unstoppable. So take your focus back, protect it, feed it, sharpen it. Because when your mind is locked in, your path becomes clear, and your potential becomes limitless. Real growth doesn't make noise. It happens in the quiet, behind closed doors, without an audience. But the world has taught us the opposite. That if it's not posted, it didn't happen. That every move must be shared, every step announced. That mindset kills progress. Because true growth is personal. It's private. It's messy. It's not always pretty or perfect, but it's powerful. Think about it. A seed doesn't grow above the ground. It grows in the dark, in the dirt, in silence. And you are no different. When you're alone, when no one is clapping, when no one sees the work, that's when the real transformation is happening. Psychology proves it. People grow the most when they're not being observed, because that's when they're authentic, raw, honest with themselves. It's in those quiet moments where you face the hard truths, where you push through self-doubt, where you build resilience that no one else sees, and one day, you'll emerge stronger, wiser, unshakable. But it doesn't start with applause. It starts with silence. It starts with showing up when no one's watching. It starts with choosing growth over comfort, again and again. So don't rush to be seen. Don't chase attention. Chase mastery. Chase peace. Chase becoming the kind of person who doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. Because when you grow in silence, your results make the noise. The most important conversation you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. Every day your mind is speaking, telling you what you can do, what you can't, who you are, and what you're worth. And most people, they let that voice run wild. They let it repeat fear, repeat doubt, repeat failure. But here's the truth. Your life will always rise or fall to the level of your self-talk. Psychology proves this over and over. What you tell yourself, you start to believe. And what you believe, you begin to live. So if your inner dialogue is filled with negativity, you'll hesitate. You'll second guess. You'll shrink every time life asks you to grow. But when you shift that voice, everything changes. You don't need outside motivation. You need inner mastery. Start speaking to yourself like someone you respect, not with judgment, but with belief, not with fear, but with purpose. Tell yourself, I can handle this. I'm not finished yet, or I'm becoming stronger. This moment is building me, because the mind listens. It absorbs everything you feed it, and then it acts accordingly. If you feed it doubt, it'll panic. But if you feed it strength, it'll rise. This is how leaders are built, not by what others say about them, but by what they whisper to themselves when no one else is around. You can't control everything in life, but you can control the story you tell yourself. And when that story is filled with confidence, clarity, and calm, your entire life begins to follow that script. Talk to yourself like it matters, because it does. And the more you master that voice, the more you master your life. You don't owe everyone an explanation. Let that sink in. You don't have to explain your silence. You don't have to explain your choices. You don't have to explain your growth. Because the more you try to explain yourself to people who aren't meant to understand you, the more you drain your energy. And here's what you need to understand. Not everyone is supposed to get you. Not everyone is meant to walk your path. And that's okay. Stop trying to make sense to people who choose confusion. Stop wasting your breath on those who listen to reply, not to understand. Psychology reveals a deep truth. The need to explain ourselves often comes from insecurity, from the fear of being misunderstood, from the fear of being judged. But growth requires letting go of that fear, because once you're clear with yourself, you don't need to convince anyone else. You don't need to prove your worth. You don't need to justify your dreams. You don't need to shrink your truth to make others comfortable. Strong people move differently. They don't argue. They don't beg to be seen. They walk in quiet confidence. That's silence. That's strength. That's peace. That's freedom. And once you realize that your journey is yours alone, you stop needing permission to live it. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to become who you were born to be. So protect your energy, guard your mind, and walk your path, even if no one else sees the vision yet, because those who matter will feel your growth without you saying a word. And those who don't, they were never meant to come with you. There comes a moment in life when the noise becomes too loud, too distracting, too meaningless. And in that moment, something inside you shifts. You stop chasing attention and start chasing purpose. You stop reacting to every voice around you and start listening to the one within. Because deep down, you weren't made for noise, you were made for impact. But impact doesn't come from doing what everyone else is doing. It comes from silence, from clarity, from knowing exactly why you're here. Psychology teaches us something powerful. The brain craves meaning. It's not satisfied with random effort. It wants direction. It wants alignment. And when your actions match your values, You unlock a level of peace that can't be shaken by outside chaos. That's the shift. From doing what's popular to doing what's purposeful. From chasing applause to chasing alignment. You start waking up with clarity, not confusion. You start working with discipline, not desperation. You stop asking, what will they think? And start asking, what do I stand for? That shift is when life becomes real, not surface level, not performative, but deep, focused, meaningful. And here's the truth. Not everyone will understand your purpose. They don't have to. Because purpose isn't about being seen. It's about being centered, being rooted in something deeper than approval. Once you find that, the noise fades, the opinions shrink, and your power grows. Your voice gets stronger, your steps get bolder, and your direction becomes unshakable. So if the world feels loud right now, step back, go quiet, realign. Because purpose doesn't shout, it whispers, and only the focused can hear it. Energy is your most valuable currency, more precious than money, more limited than time. But most people treat their energy like it's endless. They give it away to distractions, to drama, to people and things that don't serve their growth. And that's why they feel drained, overwhelmed, lost. Here's what psychology shows. Your brain can only handle so much stimulation. When you waste your energy on noise, you have less left for what truly matters. Successful people protect their energy like a treasure. They understand that where you spend your energy is where you grow. Energy spent on negative thoughts drains you. Energy spent on meaningless arguments wastes you. Energy spent chasing validation kills your focus. But energy spent on your goals, on your growth, on your inner peace, that's investment. That's power. You don't have to engage with everything. You don't have to respond to every call or message. You don't have to please everyone. The strongest know when to say no, when to rest, when to turn inward. Because every choice you make about your energy shapes your future. When you guard your energy, your mind stays sharp, your spirit stays strong, your purpose stays clear. So stop giving your energy away for free. Be deliberate. Be selective. Be intentional. Remember, energy spent is energy lost. Spend it on what fuels your dreams, not what drains your soul. Protect your energy, and watch how everything else falls into place. Listening is more powerful than speaking, yet most people forget this simple truth. When you truly listen, not just to respond but to understand, you unlock doors that words alone can't open. Listening is a skill, a discipline, a form of respect for yourself and others. Psychology teaches that deep listening strengthens relationships, builds trust, and expands your perspective. But more than that, it calms your mind and sharpens your focus. When you listen, you stop reacting. You stop rushing to fill silence. You pause, you process, you grow. Think about how many conversations happen where no one really listens. Everyone talks, but no one connects. Everyone hears, but no one understands. That noise keeps people stuck, chasing approval, defending opinions, lost in distraction. But when you master listening, you break free from that cycle. You learn patience. You gain clarity. You find wisdom. And the most important listening is listening to yourself. When you quiet the outside world and listen to your own heart and mind, you start hearing what truly matters. That quiet voice that tells you to keep going. The inner guide that points you toward your purpose. The calm within the chaos. Listening well gives you power. It helps you lead, it helps you decide, it helps you connect with others and with your own truth. So choose to listen more, to others, to yourself, because in the silence between words you'll find the strength to move forward. Calm, clear, and unstoppable. Patience is often overlooked. In a world that demands speed, instant results, and constant action, patience feels like a weakness. But it's actually one of the strongest weapons you can carry. Real success, the kind that lasts, doesn't happen overnight. It's built slowly, step by step, moment by moment. Psychology shows that people who practice patience are more resilient, more focused, and more in control of their emotions. They don't give up when things get hard. They don't rush through the process. They understand that growth takes time. Every moment of waiting, of steady work, is an investment in your future self. Patience means trusting the process, believing that your efforts, even if unseen now, are planting seeds. Seeds that will grow into something powerful. It's easy to get discouraged when progress is slow, when results don't show up immediately. But impatience leads to frustration, rash decisions, and wasted energy. Strong people embrace patience. They know that rushing doesn't create results. It creates chaos. They work quietly. They trust their journey, and they keep moving forward no matter how small the steps. Patience is not passive. It's active endurance. It's strength wrapped in calm. It's the courage to stay committed when the world feels impatient. When you develop patience, you develop peace, a peace that carries you through challenges, setbacks, and doubts. So remember this, patience isn't waiting without purpose. It's waiting with purpose, with focus, with faith. And that makes all the difference. The world will try to tell you how to live, what to value, who to be. But true power comes when you build your own standards, when you decide what's acceptable and what's not for your life. This isn't about arrogance or pride. It's about respect. Respect for yourself, your time, your energy. Psychology shows that people who set clear personal standards experience higher self-esteem and better decision-making because they don't settle for less than they deserve. They don't tolerate distractions that pull them off course. They don't accept excuses from themselves or others. Building your standards means you become the gatekeeper of your life. You choose who and what you allow in. You choose the habits you develop. You decide how you respond to challenges. It creates a foundation of strength, a filter that protects you from unnecessary drama, negativity, and wasted energy. When your standards are strong, you don't bend to fit others' expectations. You don't compromise your values to please the crowd. You walk your own path with confidence and clarity. And that confidence attracts the right people and opportunities, because energy always matches energy. So ask yourself, what standards do I need to build? What boundaries do I need to set? What habits must I protect to become the person I want to be? Remember, the quality of your life depends on the quality of your standards. Raise them, honor them, live by them, and watch how your world changes. Consistency is the quiet force behind every success story. It's not flashy or dramatic, but it's unstoppable. Most people wait for motivation, inspiration, or perfect conditions to take action, but the truth is, none of that guarantees results. Only consistency does. Psychology reveals a simple fact. Habits shape who you become, and habits are formed through repeated action, day after day. No matter how small the step, it matters. Consistent effort creates momentum. It builds trust with yourself. It strengthens your discipline muscle. Without consistency, goals become wishes. Dreams stay distant. Progress stalls. But with it, everything changes. Small actions compound into massive results. Doubt fades. Confidence grows. Consistency teaches patience too. It shows you that greatness isn't a single moment, it's a process, a commitment. Even when you don't feel like it, showing up counts. Even when the results aren't visible yet, the work matters. This is how leaders rise, not by bursts of energy, but by steady, relentless action. Remember, your future is created by what you do today, every day. Consistency turns ordinary people into extraordinary. It turns ideas into reality. It turns struggle into strength. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start showing up now, every day, in small ways, with purpose. Because consistency is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. The need for approval is a silent thief. It steals your confidence. It drains your energy. It keeps you trapped in the opinions of others. But here's the truth. You will never be able to please everyone, no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you explain or perform. The moment you let go of the need for approval, you reclaim your freedom. Psychology teaches that relying on external validation weakens your self-esteem. You become fragile, easily shaken by criticism or rejection. But when you find approval from within, you become unbreakable. Your value no longer depends on likes, comments, or praise. It comes from your own belief in who you are and what you stand for. That shift changes everything. You stop shrinking to fit in. You start standing tall, even when the crowd disagrees. Letting go of approval means trusting yourself more than others, believing that your journey matters, even if it's different. Choosing authenticity over acceptance. It's scary at first, because it means facing silence and maybe even rejection. But it's necessary for true growth. When you stop seeking approval, you create space for real power. Power that comes from within, power that no one can take away. So ask yourself, are you living for others' approval, or are you living for your own truth? Remember, your worth is not negotiable. It's not a reflection of someone else's opinion. It's a gift only you can give yourself. Let go of approval, hold tight to your value, and watch your life transform. This moment right here is your starting point. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Now you have everything you need inside you. Strength, clarity, and purpose. All you have to do is take the first step. Remember, the journey isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about showing up when it's hard, when the doubts creep in, when the world feels heavy. Every small choice, every quiet moment of focus brings you closer to the life you want. You've learned to focus on yourself, to stay silent when it matters, to control your inner dialogue, protect your energy, and walk your own path without needing to explain. Now it's time to live those lessons, to turn motivation into action, to let patience, consistency, and your own standards guide you. No one else will do this for you. No one else can. But the good news, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be persistent, committed to growing, learning, and moving forward, one step at a time. Your future isn't written yet. It's shaped by what you do right now. So choose courage over comfort. Choose action over fear. Choose yourself, because when you do, everything will start to fall into place. Your story is yours to write, and the pen is in your hands. Start now. The journey begins today.